And this is difficult for him. He has not been able to put this away. He's not been able to put it aside. He could just turn away from it and make spend his time doing other. He could be off making money right now, but he is here. He has something to say, and I appreciate him being here. He was very eloquent last night for the TV cameras, and so Mr. Zimmerman, will you come forward, please, while I talk? I'm going to speak with him now. Did you want to give an introduction also? Okay. And Ron Engleman, I don't think Ron Engleman needs any introduction. I'm here. This is our MC, folks, Ron Engleman, and most of you know him. For those of you who don't, he was a radio talk show host in Dallas, and he raised a little ire because he tried to help the situation here. And he's a hero to many of us, most of us, all of us. So there you go.
Thank you. I think the question really is, thank you very much, why? Look out here and you say, why? Why did this happen? Why did over 80 people lose their lives here at the hands of the government? Was it some sinister plot that the Branch Davidians had, that they were going to foist upon us, the American public? Or was it very simple? Was it very simply the fact that the ATF felt that they needed some film footage of coming out here and getting these Branch Davidians down on their face and going through, because they were about to go before the Senate Budget Committee and they needed some good film footage and TV coverage? Did Robert Rodriguez, the undercover agent that was here, that was living right over there, did he tell the truth? Did he go to the ATF and he told the ATF, his superiors, that the Branch Davidians were peaceful, the Branch Davidians were nonviolent, and then the ATF decided to take advantage of that, and this is the outcome of it? You know, in the affidavit, there was a letter in the affidavit that said that the Branch Davidians planned on doing something in Waco that would make the Los Angeles riots small in comparison. The problem is that this thing was dated 3 weeks before the riots took place in Los Angeles. But that's not what happened. What happened was the government did something that made the Los Angeles riots small in comparison. They showed, as you can see right here, they showed the entire world of the brutality that the United States government was capable of. Last night I was watching the news and I saw something that I never thought I'd see before on the news. It was a survey, and the survey said simply 56% of the citizens of the United States of America do not trust the United States government. That's a pretty heavy thing to say. 33% do trust them, and the other 12% are kind of ambivalent or have mixed emotions. But the point is, what we're looking at here today is ugly, ugly truth of how brutal our own government can be to our own people. And this is something we have to remember forever. And Reverend Otwell was absolutely right. We all have blood on our hands because of it. Because we stood there at Satellite City 2 miles away and didn't come in, didn't force ourselves in. We were over there on T-Shirt Hill, standing there looking at binoculars, just barely seeing the outline of the roof of Mount Carmel, and not making our stand, making the government know how we feel. The government lied and lied and lied, and the Branch Davidians saw those lies and heard those lies right here in Mount Carmel. I talked to Sue Johnson yesterday. Sue Johnson is the sister of Steve Schneider, who was a right-hand man for David Koresh. Steve Schneider and David Koresh got the government to give them some batteries for a flashlight or something. They jury-rigged the batteries and got a cellular phone that they had to work, and he called his sister. They wanted my phone number. They wanted to call me. They wanted to talk to me. At 1 o'clock in the morning, I got a call from Dick DeGuerin saying to expect a call from David Koresh. Didn't know what he wanted to talk about, but would appreciate it if I called him back. David Koresh's phone call never did come. Their batteries wore down before he could make the phone call to me. Yesterday, Sue Johnson told me what it was that David Koresh and Steve Schneider wanted to talk to me about. They wanted me to do something, whatever I could, over the radio because they were afraid. They were afraid that the government was going to kill them. And that's exactly what Steve Schneider told his sister the night that he called her at midnight. Sue, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that the government doesn't want us to come out of this alive. He was absolutely right. And our hands are not clean because it was us. It was our responsibility. The government's supposed to be working for us. Obviously, they're not. They're working on us. I'd like now to introduce a gentleman that did everything he could. He and another attorney, Dick DeGuerin, Jack Zimmerman, and Dick DeGuerin went into Mount Carmel. They entered this building, and they entered it prior to being burned, and they talked with Steve Schneider, they talked with David Koresh, they talked with a number of the other Branch Davidians. They saw the bullet holes in this building. They know the bullet holes that entered from the roof, not exited from the roof. They know, they saw the bullet holes that entered through the building from the outside, indiscriminately firing through the walls. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce an attorney that tried his best to help bring this to a peaceful conclusion, one that obviously the government didn't want it to come to. Please welcome Jack Zimmerman. Thanks for coming, Jack.
Let me begin by telling you that I take a backseat to no one in this ground here about standing up for what's right. 30 years as an officer of Marines, and while it may not have been successful, Mr. Otwell, I did stand, sir, and I did go in. But enough about me. I think that the remembrance that we have today should be for the victims. I want to talk to you a little bit about those people. They are the most important ones. You can rail at the government, but I think particularly with our members of the media here, the message that has not been transmitted to the people of the United States, at least from my travels around speaking on this subject from coast to coast, is that people really don't know what kind of persons the Branch Davidians were. You'd think that they had horns coming out of their heads, that they were some kind of abnormal persons. Let me tell you about two people from Wisconsin, Steve and Judy Schneider. They were, in my opinion, from having spent 2 full days intensively talking to Steve and several hours speaking to Judy, and then spending many, many hours, including a personal trip into the home of their family in Wisconsin. Let me tell you about Steve and Judy Schneider and their daughter, 2-year-old daughter, Mina. First of all, they were educated people. Steve was a college graduate. They were working people. Judy had worked, had been out in the workforce. These were not people who just sat around and were lazy and didn't contribute to society. They came from good family. You talked to Sue Johnson, as it was just mentioned, and to her husband Tom, and you talked to Wayne and Karen Peterson, Judy's brother and sister-in-law, and you talk to the parents, and you see, by being in the house like I was, their homes in Wisconsin, and you see what kind of people they were. They were decent people, they were peaceful people, and they were religious people. Now, I first met Steve Schneider on April the 1st, went inside and was astonished at what I saw. To set the scene, for those of you who don't remember, the electricity had been off for almost 3 weeks.